Sounds of youth in Boku in the Upper East region running away from a police onslaught as one person is reported dead and the divisional police commander's house burned in renewed clashes. We'll be live on the ground to hear from our reporter there. Also tonight, armed officials from the National Investigations Bureau storm home of Asin South MP Reverend Civilian team over his drug trafficking and money laundering allegations and the dramatic escalation of investigations into the matter. You want to stay with us for the very latest on this particular developing story. So has he been arrested yet? We'll bring you the very latest on this.
We want to assure the government that we will cooperate if they approach things in a decent manner. Absolutely. But we will not be intimidated.
You want to stay with us for that and more all here on Newsnight Plus. Government is tonight admitting its new policy to prioritize the deportation of foreign nationals instead of prosecuting them contradicts the Minerals and Mining Act, which mandates prosecution of such offences, but insists they will press ahead, arguing that overcrowded prisons make prosecution and incarceration impractical.
Certainly, that is on the surface of it. Feeding them is even a problem. Taking care of them, seriously, the prisons are congested. So if there's a way not to, exacerbate the situation by sending these people back to their home countries, I think that I would opt for that.
There is an onslaught tonight from civil society organizations who are demanding that the president stops the implementation of this new policy.
And let me appeal to His Excellency the President directly. This is your legacy term. Please rescind this policy.
Prosecute them, sentence them, and find ways of containing them.
If we don't take care, we are just going to have another 4 years of wasted efforts.
And in business, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Asiama urges commercial banks to tread cautiously over their response to the recent monetary policy rate hike.
And it's supposed to hear from the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Ben Nuni Mensah, who is calling for an end to the politicization of sports, insisting that it's a danger to the development of the sector.
I want to stay with us for all that, plus your views and comments. 055-1111-997. We start tonight from Boku. And you're hearing the voices of some youth in Boku in the Upper East region who were running for their lives from a police onslaught just a while ago. One person has been reportedly been killed from the latest clashes, with two others sustaining injuries. The home of the divisional police commander, ACP Damusedu, has been burnt down. Journalists understands the incident occurred as one faction in the prolonged chieftaincy dispute wanted women from the other faction trading in the market to leave. A scuffle then ensued and police moved in to restore calm. However, some youth allegedly fired at the police, forcing the police to return fire, leading to the death of one civilian and injuring at least two others. I want to take you live now to my colleague on the ground who has been following this for us. As we now know, the police are now attempting to bring this under control. Abba, sorry, what can you report now? What was the very latest? I saw the videos you shared. It looked very chaotic.
Yes, Evan. So the first thing they have done this evening is to review the curfew, which used to start at 8 p.m. and end at 6 a.m. the next morning. We are just learning that the curfew has been reviewed, and so they're supposed to go in at 6 p.m. So by this time, everyone in Boku should be indoors, and the curfew will end at 6 a.m. So that is the first measure they have taken because the tension there this afternoon was very, very high with everything that has happened.
And I also understand that the police barracks there also got attacked.
Exactly. So what we are learning is that some of the irate youth who were agitating attacked the police barracks. In fact, they have also set fire on some rooms in that barracks. They burnt a police vehicle as well. And we are told that the police service had to quickly try and move in and evacuate some of the men who live in that barracks to protect them from harm.
We also saw the visuals of the burning of the regional commander's home. How was that resolved?
Yes, so what we are learning is that this home is not where he lives himself. He lives in his official residence, but this is a private residence he has somewhere in the outskirts of Boku. So in the course of the scuffle this afternoon, some of the youth may have gone there and carried out the act. And so at the moment, in fact, the police and the Regional Security Council are very busy having meetings today, and they haven't responded to us. So they haven't been able to tell us whether the perpetrators of this act have been found out and how they are going to be dealt with. It's all still being investigated at the moment.
And are they maintaining some men on the ground?
Exactly. We're told this started brewing even yesterday because these women who are trading in the market where the other faction doesn't want them trading, this issue has been brewing for some time. And so the police may have seen this sort of tension coming, and they started sending more men to the town as at yesterday. So there's a lot of police presence in the town as we speak.
We heard about the fatality and the injuries. What is the latest on that?
Yeah, so a while ago, just before I joined you, we had learned of the identity of the person who has been killed, but we have been advised that for security reasons, we should keep that and not put it in the public domain for now, as the police try to maintain calm. But what we are told is that he's a leader, he's a very well-known person who was trying to calm down the irate youth and may have been caught by a stray bullet. That's what we are learning at the moment. But we've been told that for security reasons, we should keep his identity private for now.
You say that the youth actually exchanged fire with the police. They were obviously armed.
Yeah, so what happens with Boku is that the factions have fighters. And from what the security usually tell us, these fighters, they don't fight in the open. They have hideouts where they hide and fire at each other. So the little we have gathered indicates that these may have been the people who fired at the police. But there are also some of the youth who are angry at the police, who are accusing them of firing the youth for just agitating and saying that they did not want the women from the other faction in their markets. So it's all a little murky at the moment, also because we haven't been able to officially talk to the regional police command and also the regional minister, who is currently in a meeting, possibly with the Regional Security Council.
And in the past, we know that the clashes have been with the military, because the military sort of was the most preeminent security agency patrolling the town. Now we know from today's incident that the clash is now between the residents and the police. I don't recall the last time in Boku, after these many years of conflict, that the police got real at the heart of this, and they themselves now became the center of the attack from the youth from the other side. Normally it has been the military.
Yes, in fact, just before I joined, I was talking to some of my sources in Boku. One of them, one of the elders, and one of the things he told me was that the police commander's house even being attacked, is something that is shocking to many of them, because this is a police commander who has lived in Boku for many years. He came in from another region. We are told he's from the northeast, the Savannah region, and he's left his family. He lives in Boku and tried to work for the people. And until today, he's never had any misunderstandings that we know of. So it's come as a surprise to many people that such an attack would be carried out against him.
Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, there has been the latest surge in violence, an explosion there today, burning of the police commander's residence in Boku. The latest eruption, obviously one that security agencies are watching very closely. From what we're hearing, one person is already dead, several injured following a clash between youth and the police. There have been exchange of fire already, youth firing into the police firing back, leading to the death of one person. I want to bring in right now Dr. Adam Bonai. He's the acting executive secretary of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons. They had attempted to do something about the weapons weapons in homes and in hands of civilians in Boku. He joins us right now with the work that they're currently doing, but also his own sense of what is happening in Boku tonight. Mr. Bona, talk to me. This latest eruption in violence in Boku, it's pitching the youth now against the police. Even those on the ground, opinion leaders say they're pretty surprised that the residence of the police commander will be touched, which is pretty unusual, even for Boku, considering the violence that it had seen over the years. What's your own assessment of what is happening there, considering that your commission is there and trying to do some work in retrieving arms from civilians?
Well, yes, good evening, Evans. It's a very sad day, if you ask me. I can only urge for calm. Because then, to the extent that some hoodlums will touch the commander, who I know him personally, touch his official accommodation in Boku, is despicable. Yes, from the point of view of the National Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission, we are rolling out a program to use machines being able to detect the weapons some of these people are hiding. And so it's something we are putting together, call it a strategy to be able to looking at how volatile the place is. It's a process we would have to go through to be able to, as much as possible, use technology to be able to find these sophisticated weapons these young people are using. The other thing we are also doing is to cut off the supply of weapons into the area, and weapons here would also include ammunition. Believe you me, once we are able to reduce the number of weapons entering Boku per the strategies we are rolling out, including ammunition and the rest, we should be able to sit and resolve whatever disputes that exist in Boku. Because of the existence of illicit weapons in the Boku and its environment, it's become very difficult for this conflict to be resolved. But yes, for myself and my team at the commission, my minister has given us his word. The president himself, I'm sure you listened to him during his first sona, told the nation we are going to have strengthened, call it firearms regulation. And so one of the things we are doing is asking that our law be passed, giving us that balls and that mandate to be able to go in with or without any assistance to be able to use machines to detect those who are hiding these weapons. The truth is that the normal metal detector would not be able to detect some of these weapons. We need the weapon detection systems, which we have, to be able to go in there. What we are waiting for is in May, we are told our law would be passed. If the law is passed, you know what, we are going to go in there and deal with these things. Meanwhile, whilst waiting for that to be done, we are collaborating with the police, the national security, the military, to be able to do that whilst we wait for the law to be passed. So we are able to do that independently.
In the meantime, though, considering what is happening tonight, I know my reporter talks about the curfew hours being strengthened. We know the Regional Security Council is currently meeting. Police will still need to be in control. What's a recommendation, the interim, to keep things from further escalating on the back of what has happened today?
I think what needs, we need to de-escalate. We need to de-escalate where it's gotten to. I want to urge that there should be calm. People should stop taking the laws into their own hands. I would urge the true feuding parties, the Kusasis and the Mamprosis, to sit at the round table and see how dialogue would work. If you ask me, where we have gotten to getting the police commander's residence bench is almost declaring Boku an area, a no-go area. It's not possible. Ghana must be united behind Boku to ensure that we rid Boku of hoodlums. You know, it's a multifaceted problem we are faced with, and criminals are taking advantage of it. But I'm sure that between now and tomorrow, the situation would have calmed down, so it can be properly investigated, Evans.
Thank you very much. And that there is Dr. Adam Bona. He heads the Small Arms Commission. Still live here on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. And we want to return to that major development story today. The attempt by the NIB to arrest the Asin South MP, Reverend Tim Fordjour, over his recent allegations of suspected drug trafficking and money laundering in the country. Today was a standoff. There was a standoff between the NIB officers who were supported by police officers who attempted to arrest him. The minority caucus were there, and they insisted that they wouldn't allow that to happen. In the last few hours, though, we're learning that the state hasn't given up on its desire to have him arrested, for him to answer questions around those allegations. My colleague, who has been to the residence of Reverend Tim Fordjour, is just returning now with the very latest, and he joins me in the studio. James, so first of all, when you were leaving the residence of Tim Fordjour, had the NIB and police operatives left?
Yes, they had left. In fact, when I was speaking, at the point when I was speaking to the national, organizer of the NPP, Henry Nana Boakye, that was when they had taken their leave. That was about 3:45 to 4 p.m. That was when they, together with the police, had left. But as we speak, some of the minority MPs are still in the house of Reverend Tim Fordjour, keeping him company. Mm-hmm. It is unclear how long they will be there, because the indication they gave us is that they came there to foil the arrest attempt of the MP. And so you would understand that they are staying there to prevent the coming or to prevent any further attempt to arrest him, even if the NIB officials or the police come back. As we speak, we do not know whether they will be spending the night there or they will be leaving subsequently. In fact, the former deputy minister in charge of finance at the presidency, Abina Asari, is still there. The minorities council, legal council, is still there. The director of communications for the party, Richard Ahiagba, is still there. Those are a few of the MPs who are there. Dominic Nitiwu, Kojo Nkrumah, as well as the minority leader, had taken their leave. The party supporters have also left the scene as we speak.
Okay, and so as we speak, there's still some party officials and MPs still there with
together
him.
With the General Secretary,
Justin
Kodia.
Why are they still there, though, considering that the NIB and police officers have left? Is it that they fear that they may return to come in and try and effect an arrest?
That's the understanding I get, because from the conversation I have with them, Henry Nana Boakye indicated, you remember that the indication we had earlier was that they were there to enforce an arrest warrant. Mm-hmm. Then he confirmed to us that indeed they came there to arrest the MP. Now, the arrest couldn't come on because the party leadership, together with the minority leadership, came in and insisted on getting this arrest. The former defense minister, Dominic Nitiwu, actually confirmed to us that when the security operative came in, they demanded for the arrest warrant for which they had come in. It was then they realized that those people came in without any arrest warrant. That is, according to him, to enforce the arrest.
I am almost certain 100% that the Minister for Defense will not know this type of operation that they are going to do. Normally, once you get a court warrant, they don't have a court warrant, but we asked them, they didn't have a court warrant. The
security persons who came here,
they didn't have a court warrant. They said that the faces of the senior officers is a court warrant by itself, which obviously is not granted in any law. So they didn't have a court warrant.
They didn't have a warrant for entering.
No, they didn't. We asked them.
So what was their reason for coming?
We asked them whether you have a warrant. They said, well, the faces of the senior officers is enough. They don't have any warrant, but for them, a senior officer's face is a warrant.
Which senior officers?
Those who came to do the arrest.
Did they indicate who ordered them to come here?
They said that the Director General of the National Investigation Bureau ordered them to come. And I told them that I'm not sure the Director General would do that. I know him very well. I mean, we schooled together. He was my senior in secondary school. He's a fine gentleman. I'm not sure he would do such a thing. I was trying to get him, and I will get him today, and I will advise them. At least, after sitting there for 8 years, there are some things you just simply don't do. You just create tension, unnecessary tension. Look, MPP is not a mushroom party. We may not have won an election, but if the NDC were to look at the election results very, very well, they'll realize that majority of the MPP supporters just stayed out. And 4 years is a very simple thing. I don't believe that in any election that the NDC does not win, they want this to be happening to them.
So that is the former defense minister. It also turns out that the speaker has also not been engaged yet, because the information we have is that the NIB had written to the speaker. The difference, though, is that because you're reset, the speaker is yet to give the authorization for the questioning to happen. You'll be putting this question also to the minority folks.
Exactly. The minority leader, Alexander Penyo-Markin, indicated that he has no idea about the speaker receiving any letter. In fact, he indicated that had the speaker received any letter, he would be one of the first people of contact the speaker would have alerted about the letter, on which they would have taken a decision on the lay-down procedures of this kind of interrogations.
The speaker has a directive, and this was agreed upon with the security agencies, that when members of parliament are needed for any such matter, they write to speaker, the speaker would arrange to release a member, and then in the speaker's conference room, they can do the interrogation or whatever they want to do. I don't understand why government is defying such arrangement with Parliament. So we are going to prompt Mr. Speaker of this happening. The Minister of Interior, who has responsibility for national security matters, who himself is a member of Parliament, would also be written to, because we don't understand this Rambo-style approach. When we know that in the 6th, 7th, and 8th Parliament, and in fact, even in this 9th Parliament, we've had such practice. What we saw here this morning really was in a very bad taste. To get armed police, bring NIB officials to come. Then no MP is safe, no politician is safe.
But do you feel this impunity has been breached one or the other?
His what?
Immunity, pardon me.
But it is clear. Yeah. What they've done is a breach of privilege and immunity. It's obvious.
Leader, do we get the indication that they've written to the speaker has agreed for him to be interrogated, and that has not been carried out?
If any letter had been written, it would have been brought to my notice. When a letter was written for Kwame A+ and the other colleague, you know, it came to light. This is similar to the Rambo-style approach they adopted, you know, in attempting to arrest our brother from Akwetia. Anyway.
And they are making some additional demands now, as far as some government officials are concerned.
Exactly. The party organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, believes that the posture of the government spokesperson, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, in the face of this is, a violation or is contrary to the directive of the President, John Dramani Mahama, in this matter. And so he needs to be fired immediately.
He's only mentioned that there are reasonable grounds to believe that there have been some dealings, underground dealings regarding illicit drugs. What do you do? In fact, I even applaud the president. The president quickly responded by saying that there should be collaborative investigation. Then all of a sudden, the spokesperson to the president, who is throwing his weight about, and he must be sacked.
You're calling for the sacking of Phyllis Kwacho.
Undermining the position of the president. He rather said that even the investigation is useless because Honorable Fordjour did not provide any evidence. Meanwhile, the president had instructed that there should be a corroborative investigation. And then you, as a spokesperson to the president, you are rather supposed to amplify what the president says and then explain it further. You are rather articulating a position which is contrary to that of the president. Very bizarre. What are they hiding? What are they hiding?
So that was what happened at his residence. And you've already confirmed that we still have a team of minority members still with him.
And the party leadership.
And the party leadership still with him. And you've explained that part of this is also to ensure that the NIB officers do not return. And how strong was the contingent that the NIB deployed today? Because we had in the afternoon that they were armed, they had several vehicles. What did you see?
I counted at least 4 of them when we walked into the compound. In fact, there was one, the gate of the MP's residence, at the point we got there, was manned by the NIB official who was letting in and out members of the party as well as the minority leadership. So when you walk to the gate, it is an NIB official who opens the gate and then you walk in. Then when we got into the compound, I saw 3 other persons, one person standing at the doorstep of the MP leading to his room, and then 2 other NIB officials standing roaming the compound, and all 4 of them are strapped with AK-47 guns with them. They were dressed in their brown t-shirt top, strapped their NIB vest with the guns, and then I saw 2 other persons also holding guns who were dressed in mufti, one dressed fully in jeans up and down, and then another person also in mufti, together with a number of police officers, which when I did a head count when they came through the gate, I counted at least 9 of police officers who were also in police uniform. I do not see any of them carrying gun actually, but the NIB officials were carrying gun, and then they drove away in some SUVs as well as police pickups. The 2 teams drove away in those separate vehicles.
And thank you very much. In the last few minutes, I have seen a memo that has now been written by the minority side to the speaker.
Yes.
Formally complaining about what happened today. And this is from the minority chief whip, Arnaud Dompré, written to the speaker. And he's drawing the speaker's attention to what happened today, but also referencing the speaker's recent ruling on the such similar
protocol of engagement with
of an
MPs
attempt to arrest a sensitive member of parliament. And it says it is in respect of the directive that he issued, his high office issued, regarding the agreed procedure for engaging members of parliament in investigations and related matters. And he also references the speaker's recent letter that he had written regarding 2 MPs. And the MPs in question, Mustafa Yusuf and a member of parliament for Goma Central, Kwame Asari Obeng. And again, this was in respect of the NIB, where the speaker was very clear in a letter to them that they can proceed with the questioning. Now, according to Arnaud Dompré in this complaint to the speaker, he says, it is regrettable to note that recent events indicate a troubling pattern of non-compliance, however. It references today's incident and what happened in the home of Intim Fordjour, the Member of Parliament for Ascent South, and the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee. And he puts in some context that it follows his press statement and press conference that was jointly issued in Parliament, where he complained about, he raised alarm about the flights and the allegations that he may be carrying some illicit drugs, etc. He says the arrest attempt was made at his residence that afternoon, that's today, clearly disregarding these well-intended protocols established in your able leadership and guarded by Constitution to protect the mandate of Parliament. He says such actions not only undermine the authority of the office of the Speaker, but also directly violates the privileges and immunities of members of Parliament established in the Constitution. They pose a serious threat to the separation of powers and the respect accorded to elected representatives in the performance of their constitutional duties. I respectfully urge your office to take urgent steps to reaffirm the earlier directives and engage the relevant national security heads to ensure that such interactions with honorable members are conducted in conformance with the Constitution and with the decorum and procedure befitting their status as representatives of the people. And so that's a petition now sent to the Speaker of Parliament complaining about how the NIB handled today's attempt to arrest Team Fordjour. We're keeping an eye on this and we're bringing the latest developments as and when we have it. George Rafe is joining me right now with business here on Newsnight. And George Rafe is here. George, what do you have in the headlines of business?
Well, a lot of things are happening in business, and for those who are following developments in the U.S., the President Trump has announced a 90-day pause of those tariff hikes, with the exception of China. That is now increased to 125%.
Well, China too has imposed another one of 84.
So 84. So it looks like the war will not be ending anytime soon in terms of that spat between these two big or the strongest economies in the world. Now, the Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama is also urging commercial banks to tread cautiously over their response to the recent policy rate hike. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Synthesis tanks and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. You welcome back to business on Newsnight. Now, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama is urging commercial banks to tread cautiously over their response to the recent policy rate hike. The governor disclosed this in a post-monetary policy meeting with the various heads of the commercial banks in the country. There is more in this report.
Speaking at the engagement with commercial banks, the governor noted that even though he appreciates the challenges faced by commercial banks and the need to respond appropriately, they should be measured.
This trend reflects ongoing deficiencies in credit risk management practices, including weak underwriting standards and inadequate provisioning. To address rising credit risks, we want to urge all banks to strengthen their risk management frameworks, to improve underwriting, their early warning systems, and provisioning practices. We expect tangible improvements in loan origination, in monitoring, and credit review.
The governor also sought to justify the decision to increase the policy rate to 28%.
This decision was aimed at reinforcing the disinflation process, which, while underway, remains too gradual to secure lasting stability. The decline in headline inflation from 23.8% in December to 22.4% in March confirms that recent policy actions are having the intended effect.
Dr. Johnson Isiama also highlighted strong growth secured over the period.
The industry remains solvent, recording a capital adequacy ratio of 14.35%, above the regulatory minimum of 10%, with most banks maintaining capital adequacy ratios above threshold.
The meeting is part of the Bank of Ghana's strategy to engage critical stakeholders post the monetary policy meeting.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, government has set July 1, 2025 as a new date for the SIM re-registration exercise program. Minister for Communications, Association and Innovation, Sam Netejo, disclosed this at the Meet the Press program in Accra today. He's also announced the re-registration could also be targeting the handsets of subscribers.
So let's call a spade today. And we've had instances of this when the state, through its security agencies, needs to identify a person of interest using their SIM card. It's next to impossible, because the SIM registration or re-registration that Ghanaians were put through about 3 years ago or 2 years ago did no verification on the back end. There was no single source of truth to verify against. And so yes, biometrics were taken, but they were not matched against anything. And that's why today you have SIM cards that are registered to people's Ghana cards that the people themselves did not register. That's why today, even though there was a limit of 10 cards per Ghana card, there are instances where one Ghana card has been used to register over 30 cards because there was no matching.
And that is Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Sam Nete George. Let's still stay on the sector because President John Mahama has maintained that he expects the repeal of the e-levy to aid growth of the sector and financial inclusion. The President said this at the Czech Ghana Business Corporation Summit meeting at the Movenpick Hotel in Accra. The President noted that a lot of opportunities abound in the tech space for the two countries to explore.
My government is implementing policies and programs to support micro, small and medium enterprises which emphasize on women and youth-led businesses that represent the future of our economy. And again, we warmly welcome partnerships that can provide technical expertise, facilitate technology transfer, and enhance access to appropriate financing mechanisms for these dynamic enterprises. We're also continuing to streamline business regulations, improving the ease of doing business, and providing attractive incentives for foreign direct investment, particularly in our priority sectors.
President John Mahama. Now, President Donald Trump has announced a 90-day pause of the tariff hikes for several imports coming into the U.S. market. However, increased that of China to 125%. The development should come as big relief for Ghanaian firms that were worried about the serious disruptions to their exports. Others was also highlighted how this could have hurt Ghana's economy badly if the implementation had started as expected. Let's hear from economist Professor William Bawku, who has been given us some fine details of how the Ghanaian economy could be affected badly if this thing had gone ahead.
The price of your export in the destination country is going to go up. So it means that the consumers in US are going to buy your goods at least at 10% a price hike on average. So let me put it that way. So if they were buying your goods at say $10, it means that you should expect that it will go to about $11. But not to go deeper into it, it depends on how important our exports are to the consumers in the US market. So that is where the effect will be. In other words, if we put everything together, it will affect the quantity because the demand for the product that we export is going to go down. There is another channel which is indirect. In Ghana, we also import some kind of intermediate products, capital goods from US. So when we import from them, we are going to import it at a higher price. And therefore, it will affect our economy in terms of the price being imported into our domestic market, and we could have some price hikes as far as our inflation is concerned.
And that is economist Professor William Bawku. And even the uncertainty surrounding these whole things, we still need more clarity, even though there's a pause, how it will be impacted or how it will go ahead to enforce it. So whether indeed exports or goods from Ghana are indeed accepted or not.
Very interesting times indeed. I'm curious to know why he's now put in place.
The markets around the world have, rattled,
But we saw this last week when he first announced it. What has changed?
So there's a second round of it, and let's see what happens.
Well, thank you very much, George. Let's do some sports now. And yesterday I said Arsenal we're going to be beating Real Madrid. And goodness, it proved me wrong.
Yeah,
that was a scintillating game of football.
They did. Proved everybody wrong. They proved everybody wrong. It was
I enjoyed the game. It's been a while since I enjoyed a football match. The goals were absolutely amazing.
Brilliant goals.
Declan Rice's first goal reminds me of Roberto Carlos.
Yeah.
And Roberto Carlos was in the stadium.
Yeah, he was there. He was in the stadium.
There's actually a lot of scientists have started to analyze the trajectory of the football when he first hit it and the way he sort of swerves and then turns. It's almost very similar to what Declan Rice did yesterday.
It's similar. Just the technique. Roberto Carlos played it from the outside of his boot.
Yeah.
Outside of his boot with his left foot. But
Declan Rice from the inside. Declan did it from the inside of his boot.
Yes,
correct?
But Roberto did it from the outside of his boot.
He hit it from the outside of his boot.
That's
and then curled it. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
To think that he did the second free kick yesterday. And
the audacity to do that again.
And here's the second free kick also reminded me of David Beckham.
Yes.
Because of the angle that the ball went into the post. It's amazing. That tiny little square at the end, that 90,
that's what you call it.
90, exactly. He went
90, straight there. It's beautiful. And prior to that, he hadn't scored any free kick goal in his entire career.
Yeah,
right.
And also before he scored the first goal, the Arsenal, the coach who takes them through the
the coach Jova.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he sort of signaled what to do. He sort of.
But you know what's interesting?
Play like that.
When he, Declan Rice was interviewed after the game, apparently the thing the set piece coach was doing was he wasn't telling him to do that. He was actually telling him to cross the ball. Cross the ball
to
cross. Yes.
Not to kill it.
And he chose to do his own thing.
Anyway,
But tonight you've got Paris Saint-Germain playing Aston Villa, big one, and Barcelona in action against Borussia Dortmund. That's the other quarter-final fixtures we'll be looking forward to today. But the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Ben Mensah, has been emphasizing the need to depoliticize, sports administration in the country, emphasizing, that it goes a long way to affect the development of the sector.
It's very difficult when we want to do sports and look at it with a political glasses, a partisan lens. It is very dangerous because as a nation, the only thing that unites us now is sports, especially our black stars. And then also, if you look at international sports structures, they try to take away government's influence or government involvement in the sports structures. Because what could happen or what will happen if you too much politically involved or politically biased in sports? If there's a change in government, it means that the sports structures have to change. And that kind of pushes our sports back. It doesn't give us the kind of consistency that the IOC wants our sports to have. That is why in most instances, the IOC would say, we don't want government involvement in sports. We want to have an independent body.
Yeah, that's Ben Mensah, the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee events. That's all we have for you on sports. But join us on Hits 103.9 FM in just some 10 minutes from now for the game between Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund.
Thank you very much, Bar. I'm looking forward to that game too. I hope it's as entertaining, half as entertaining as last night's game. Now, government is admitting tonight that its new policy to deport instead of prosecute foreign nationals involved in illegal mining is a violation of the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act, which mandates prosecution of such offences, but insists it will press ahead full throttle, citing overcrowded prisons as a major barrier to enforcement. Well, the Deputy Minister of Interior, Ebenezer Taylor-Abbey, was on PMS last night, and he made his point.
The support that Ghanaians must support us, because some of these people come. They don't get up and come. Our people bring them in. So we are asking Ghanaians to cooperate.
Yeah, Mr.
So at least,
Mr. Taylor, your policy is also subject to law. Do you concede that this new approach is a blatant violation of the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act?
Certainly. That is on the surface of it.
Not the surface of it. The law is very clear that a non-Ghanaian involved in
it is clear,
mining,
that's what I'm saying, yes.
Must be prosecuted and get up to 20 years imprisonment. Do you concede that what you're doing is a flagrant violation of this?
I wouldn't say it's flagrant. It's a violation, but it is not arbitrary. It is not intentional. It is the situation that is dictating the approach. And I think that, yes, we will look at it. We will look at it again. I believe myself, my boss, would look at it. But the bottom line is that the foreigners that are in our forests are a nuisance, and we need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of them, and we also don't want to choke our prisons with these people. So what do we do?
Well, security analyst Professor Kwesi called on President John Mahama to reverse this new policy.
I have absolutely no sympathy. I detest being an independent Ghanaian in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, being treated like a second-class citizen. And let me appeal to His Excellency, the President, directly. Mr. President, this is a policy that would not work. This is a policy that will serve as an attraction for even worse criminals to come, because they know we don't have the capacity to prosecute them. They know we don't have the capacity and the political will to do what is right for the people of this country. This is your legacy term. Let it matter and let it count. Your minister has demonstrated an unwillingness and a reluctance to hold the bull by the horn and resolve this crisis. This is not a time to pussyfoot, Mr. President. Please rescind this policy before this country is destroyed. We cannot have a two-tier law. We cannot have a two-tier implementation process. I think it's useful. We need to give the police officers who are going performance indicators.
Let me bring in Martin Kwebu, who is lawyer, and Kenneth Ashigbe is a convener of the Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Martin, the government, the deputy minister admits this new policy is a violation of the law. Is there any consequence for a government violating a law that is passed and currently should be implemented, but it's not being implemented and it's actually being very openly violated?
Yeah, absolutely. To violate a law goes to the heart of the executive administration in Article 58 of the Constitution, which says that the president will maintain and execute laws. So, and the ministers help the president in the discharge of his duties. They are more or less agents of the president. So they cannot be here to say that they will violate the law. No, they are not allowed to. If we see that certain laws are no longer beneficial to us as a society, we know what to do. Those laws have to be amended. But we cannot have the laws sitting on the statute books and then ignore them. No, Article 58 is on the point that the president has a duty to execute and maintain all the laws. All the laws he executes and maintains. I wish we had time to read the constitutional provision, but it's very clear in 58. So his minister cannot say he wants to violate. Simply, if a law is not workable, you know how to engage citizens and then you amend. You see the LI 2462, the mining and forestry and forest reserves. Yeah, you see we are about amending it. Yes, so that is the right thing to do.
And Ken, so that's what we are. In fact, the policy has already been implemented. The more than 100 foreigners arrested have already been deported. The minister says you're not interested in prosecutions. The deputy says, well, we have conceded it's a violation. You as a campaigner, what do you want to see as far as this is concerned?
I am getting a lawyer on your show. I'm going to be engaging with Martin for us to bring an action against the minister. I don't know whether we can bring a criminal action because it is the Attorney General who has to prosecute. But we will bring an action, give it a full action that we will bring. We will bring it. Things like this. It is not only the fact that as a process, it's not going to be workable. We've seen examples of it. I wonder what people will say about people who do the same thing expecting different results. We did the same thing with Shawan and he came back into our country. I was speaking to a Chinese person today, and he was saying to me that those people, when you send them, you think our government will now waste time, in saying that we are going to jail them. Jail them under what law? What law in China are they going to jail them under? They will just come back by another flight and come back into your country and come and do this. So it is important. So Martin, please, I will be coming back to you for us to see what's the legal remedies we have, so that if the minister will not do the needful, we will then show him that we will go to court. If it doesn't happen, again, the minister should know these are some of the things that got the MPP voted out of government. And so if they will continue like that, they should know that the day of reckoning is going to come.
Thank you very much, Kenneth Ashigbe, convener Coalition Against Illegal Mining, and Martin Kwebu, lawyer, and former Attorney General Gov't Dame says he's disappointed in his successor for failing to assign lawyers at the Supreme Court for the hearing of the suit challenging the procedure triggered by President Mahama to potentially remove the Chief Justice from office. The suit had been filed by a Member of Parliament for Old Tafel, Vincent Asafua. Gov't Dame, who was speaking to journalists at the Supreme Court after the indefinite adjournment of the case, says he expects the president to comply with the law and put on hold the processes to potentially remove the Chief Justice from office. And just before we go, the Youth Employment Agency has praised Guinness Ghana for its commitment to equipping young people with essential skills for their future. And the CEO of the agency, Malik Basintali, gave this remark during the graduation ceremony of the second cohort of the Learning for Life program. Valentina Semenyo has more in this report.
These successfully completed the training, with over 60% of them being female. Speaking on the program, the CEO of the Youth Employment Agency, Malik Basintali, commended Guinness Ghana for its effort and assured the trainees that the agency is committed to providing them with decent job opportunities following their training.
Let me begin by extending our sincere gratitude to Guinness Ghana and the Diageo Group for their remarkable leadership and continued investment in the Learning for Life program. This initiative is a shining example of how private sector-led interventions can directly empower youth and build resilient industries. As the YECU, we are not only here to celebrate skills, but to ensure that we are here to ensure that those skills lead to real jobs. And not just jobs, but decent jobs. This is where our mandate comes alive.
The managing director of Guinness Ghana, Felicity Inson, highlighted Guinness's global success in equipping youth with relevant skills.
Learning for Life is a key pillar in fulfilling this vision. Around the globe, this program has provided resources and skills to over 200,000 people. And what we are really proud about is that at least half of those people are actually women.
She also added the meticulous effort made to reduce gender barriers in the training sessions.
So by offering flexible training schedules and making learning accessible, we have reduced barriers that often prevent our dear women and other underrepresented groups from acquiring the skills they need. Our strategic alliances with the Youth Employment Agency, Ghana Tourism Authority, and TVET institutions allow us to embed gender-inclusive practices while also considering accessibility for people with disabilities and ethnic minorities.
Guinness Ghana is looking forward to more collaborations in order to train more youth in the country. For Joy News, Valentina Semenyo's report read to you.
And joining me right now is Strong and Sassy's on Anywhere Nimado. Hello.
Hi, what's up?
I'm doing well.
Did you catch a little bit of last week's show?
Yes.
I was babahazed, completely overwhelmed, flabberwhelmed, you know.
By the girls, eh?
Yes, by my children. They were just, I mean, anyway, last week we had a conversation on protecting your relationship in a digital, in the whole social media. And there were so many things that were said. I mean, apparently people, you have to steal or sneak and find out your husband or your boyfriend's password. You have to log into his stuff. You have to create pseudo accounts and text them and see if they yes, there's a lot going on to find out the things that are happening. I
need to send that recording to a few of my friends.
So that what?
To be on the watch out.
To be on the watch out, not to do it. And it's interesting. I find it interesting that it looks as if women snoop more than men.
Yeah, it's in your nature.
Wow, I feel like I walked straight into that. Yeah. However, it may not be true. Maybe men snoop on the low.
Oh no, we don't.
You really don't, unless they are like.
I think we are doing already. So I think we are doing already. So
they hack.
Someone clone your WhatsApp.
Yeah. Wow.
Really?
I wish someone would do that to me. They would be so bored. Anyways, so we're doing part 2 of that. But today's show is more interactive. So really want to hear about your experiences. Have you been snooping on your partner? How did you do it? What did you find? What is your advice? Should you do it? And all of that. So that's Strong and Sassy coming up next.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to it.